Lightning is the overall strongest sorcerer build this season. It's fast, it has massive clear, deals giga damage, and it's fun as hell. But there are so many versions of the build, and you're dumb as a brick and can't decide on the best one. So which one should you play? Well, friends, that's why I am here, to bring you the best ball lightning build of the season. It's hitting for upwards of 7 trillion damage, and we're also bringing you an ultra-speed version for speed farming. And here's the best part. It's objectively the best version because Zaramos, the creator of this build, just managed to clear pit 119 as you saw from the intro, which will put him at rank 1. Hell, he may even break 120 soon. And that's also while the closest other clear was using a skip in his clear, making this one even more impressive. Before anything else, make sure to drop by Zaramos' channel, drop a sub, and if you have any questions, drop them there as well. He's way better at dropping knowledge bombs about the Sorc class than I am. So, what makes the build so strong, and how the hell can a build from Temu top the leaderboards? Well, it's rather easy, actually. Zaramos is a god, he's done all the math, and all we need to do is close our eyes and copy-paste. So let's focus on the basics, what you need to get playing the build, and the different versions. Starting with the absolute basics of the basics. Balls. Blue balls in particular, why are we using them? That's due to several reasons. Firstly, they spend a lot of mana, which we'll use to the fullest. Secondly, it's a core skill, which is mandatory for a sorcerer build to be strong this season. Third, the strike of Stormhorn is beyond broken when it comes to damage. Stacking up a 4x multi, a 2.25 multi, a bunch of core ranks, on a focus, mind you, and it has large additive scaling as well. And finally, it's a lightning skill with a buttload of interactions and nice enhancements. All in all, there's a bunch of reasons as to why ball lightning is great. Oh, and also it's a fun and satisfying skill to use, so that's definitely a bonus. But when it comes to the build being giga broken, 2 interactions stand out. We have Mana Shield, which generates a shit ton of mana generation along with a huge defensive layer, using mana rather than life. This is further combined with advanced techniques. Using this, you're getting a multiplicative scaling of your balls from every rank of balls you get. And as we discussed, it has a bunch of core skill ranks attached to it from our Stormhorn, allowing us to stack more ranks than with any other skill. This passive does, however, cost a shit ton of mana, but since we got Mana Shield to pair it with, that's a non-issue. And here's the interesting part, it's actually a net buff. Because by spending this much mana, we can use the Banished Lord's Talisman to overpower every single cast, since in the current setup, we can increase the cost of ball lightning all the way well into the 300 mana cost territory without issues, even with Starless up. Alright, before checking out the gear, let's discuss the elephant in the room. And I'm not talking about your wife, I'm talking about the weird combination of skills on our skill bar. What the actual fuck is going on here? Thing is, every time you're not spamming ball lightning, you're not dealing damage, or rather, you may as well just be spamming ball lightnings. So we're reducing this to make the build into basically just a one-button playstyle instead. Perfect for you bunch of degenerate dad gamers. All you do is press your ball lightning button, unstable currents, when it's off for some lovely damage bonuses, which is basically every 10 seconds or so, and spark every 4 or so seconds. That is a basic skill, allowing us to benefit from our explosive combinations power, or perk rather, and using elemental synergies, we want all the skills on our bars to be lightning skills, as we're getting a damage bonus from every single one. And the reason you're not seeing teleport here despite it being a lightning skill is because we'll rock 0 defensive skills here, and we'll be able to get a lovely aspect that's not available otherwise. More on that later. Neat, huh? Yeah. Alright, let's check out the gear used. As we talked about, core skill ranks is the name of the game, and there's no better helmet than Heir of Perdition for this, So stop being a lazy bastard and go farm one. For even more core ranks, we're slotting in the Seer and Vex rune combo, allowing us to gain 3 additional skill ranks. Next, it's time for some Chaos armor. For the build to be perfect, you're looking for 3 different ones: Crown of Lucion, Banished Lord's Talisman, and Locran's Talisman. Since Crown is a helmet and the others are amulets normally, you don't have to give a shit about which one you put in which slot, so that's nice. For Crown, we stack cooldown reduction and grab the Tam and Thule rune combo for freeze, vulnerable, and damage. For Banished Lords, go for core skills, and for Locrans, crit damage. And why are we using these? Well, for a shit ton of damage, of course, a buttload from Crown, perma overpowers, and a buttload more damage from Banished Lords, and both capping out crit chance and a huge crit damage multiplier from Locrans, since we have way more than 500 resources. And for the final gear piece, slap on a good pair of gloves with a bunch of core ranks. We're also using the shredding blades aspect here. We're not using ice blades, but we are still getting the 35% damage, hence the aspect. Alright, then it's time for the weapons. Look for a strong one-handed mace, temper and masterwork ball lightning projectiles as much as possible, and slap on the inner calm aspect. Next is Strike of Stormhorn, of course, where ball lightning ranks is your main priority, along with getting that ball lightning cast twice as high as humanly possible, while still focusing on masterworking ball lightning. For the jewelry, class cannon, int and inner flames as per usual, along with unstable currents and evade cooldown, where the latter is used for our teleport enchantment, using it via evading instead. And then, the aspect. This is the reason you're not seeing teleport on your bars. It's a defensive skill. Finally, Ring of Starless Skies is just too good. And so is the new Galvanic Azurite Ring, boosting our damage through the roof. Now, before heading off to the skill tree, let's quickly go over the changes if you're running the Okun's variant. Firstly, you'd find yourself a nice shako with a lot of cooldown reduction, because when paired with a pair of sneakers that has the attacks reduce evade cooldown tag, we'll be able to permanently teleport. The gear piece you'd then replace is your normal pair of gloves, using a normal pair of boots instead. Finally, you'd get Okun's instead of Stormhorn, of course, to get spinning balls for ease of clear. You'll find this exact version in the planner if it's too much for your peanut brain to keep track of. Alright, so that's the gear complete. Nice job, friends. You're a champ for staying this long, and you'll be rewarded with a banger skill tree. Starting us off, you just want to grab some lightning skills to slot onto your bars. Elemental Dominance grants us some damage and charged bolts, which we do not spawn ourselves, rather we do it via unstable currents, will grant us some nice damage reduction. We then go for the teleport damage reduction, again triggered by evading, along with the reason we're able to regenerate mana, Frost Nova. Now this is a really cool tech. If you remember, we're spawning this Frost Nova via our rune combo, while at the same time triggering Vulnerable and getting a damage buff. And by grabbing Shimmering Frost Nova, we also allow it to generate our full mana bar each time. 10% per enemy, so basically always 100% and 100% every time on bosses. Pretty cool. We also have Glass Cannon here, which is fantastic to have on your amulet. After that, it's time for some defensive passives along with Familiar for extra damage. Again, spawned via unstable currents, not by ourselves. In the mastery skills, we find Inner Flames, which is perfect for your amulet if you can afford it, along with Glass Cannon. This is also where we spawn our crackling energies for our other passives. You'll see why soon, along with Ball Lightning, extra attack speed, and damage. In the ultimate tree, we grab a bunch of lovely damage passives and cooldown reduction, along with unstable currents for big fucking stonks, but also convulsions, which is a large chunk of extra damage as long as we have the crackling energies we talked about. Extra passive ranks here are found on your Azurite ring as well. And finally, the key passive, Overflowing Energy. This is just fantastic. It grants us a large chunk of damage, but also reduces our cooldown down to 0 as long as we have... Yes, that's right. Again with those damn crackling energies. Overall, a fantastic passive. And I'm glad they finally changed this from being dog shit. Nicely done, my little kangaroos. We have successfully completed the skill tree. Let's check out the Mercenary and powers now, shall we? For Mercenary, Subo's the fucking man, granting us wall hack and crit damage. Rahir's the man when it comes to reinforcement, though, being the only one that's not useless. For powers, we have our Mana Shield and Advanced Techniques combo. But we're also rocking Power Siphon for more core skill damage and explosive combinations for even more core skill damage, as long as we cast our spark once every 5 seconds. This does, however, stack to 3, so you don't want it to drop, and you therefore spam it every 4 or so seconds, making sure that it's maxed out at all times. Alright, I'm done with this shit. Let's check out the Paragons, and then I'll teach you how to play the build. Starting us off, we have Tactician, a fine glyph for fine people. Damage, a boost to our int nodes. Yeah, fine indeed. We then head off to Ceaseless Conduit for our final crackling energy interaction, allowing us to gain 60% damage as long as we have them up. We then socket in Destruction for a large chunk of damage and a great place to fill out any spare nodes you may have for its great additive damage bonus. Next, it's time for our Static Surge node for additional damage and slot in Unleash, granting us some nice damage and a huge bonus to nearby damage nodes. And with all of these mana generation nodes, you'll also definitely ensure that your mana is topped off from all your novas, even in low density. After that, it's time to head off to the Enchantment Master for its lovely bonus to both damage and boosting our enchantments, Ball Lightning and Teleport. Basically allowing us to spawn more Ball Lightnings and reduce the cooldown of Teleport. We also socket in Eliminator here and stack Int, before finishing off the Paragons with Frigid Fate for its damage bonus and the Adept Glyph for big balls and big dam. And now, my friends, it's finally time. It's time to get fucking good, and you know it, baby. Let's do it. Playing this build is incredibly dad-gamer friendly. We don't rely on stacking up enemies with our skills or using any convoluted combinations of skills or bugs. Rather, we just blast our Ball Lightning skill. If you're pit pushing, then you want to just keep moving to group the enemies up at the best of your capabilities while nuking them down. We're focusing heavily on damage here and just eating at their health pool. Every 4 or so seconds, you want to press Spark, as to keep your damage buff up before it drops, and finally, use Unstable Currents when it's up. Other than that, you just cast Ball Lightning, preferably use Teleport for movement. Using Teleport will allow you to keep up Inner Calm, dropping only if you start moving yourself. Finally, for speed farming, it's just as easy. Here we're using Ice Blades, but we're already attack speed capped, so just ignore that. Rather, all you do is press your balls, spark every 4 seconds, and Unstable Currents, exactly as with the pit pushing version, but now all you're focusing on is clearing the pit as fast as possible. And with that, I'm done. Check out Zaramos' YouTube, drop a sub, and I'll see you in the next one.
Subscribe to Paragaming right fucking now, or I will shove assortment of rusted carpentry tools up your tight rectum. Oh yeah. Watch this fucking video to the right or left as well. Hee 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 hee, hey, ooh, my asshole, ooh yeah.